We have a lot in common, I'll give you that. He was born different. I was born different. He was tormented for it. I was tormented for it. He absolutely loves his mom. I absolutely love my mom. With all of this in common, you'd think Jason Voorhees would be my all-time favorite horror movie villain. But that is not the case. The reality is, Jason Voorhees has never done it for me. In my mind, the first Friday the 13th is a masterpiece, one that unfortunately suffers the stink of everything that comes after it. There's no denying that some of the kills in the franchise are exceptional. The problem, as I've always perceived it to be, is no amount of kills could make up for a lack in story. If you look hard enough past the gore, nostalgia, and cheap peeks at tits and ass, you'll find that nothing in horror has such an absence of story than the lifeless husk that is so often found chained to the bottom of Crystal Lake. I don't know what's worse. The fact that the creative behind Friday the 13th skated by with such a half-baked idea for so long through so many movies, or that there is a legion of horror fans that eat that shit up to this day. Since the heyday of Universal Monsters and Hammer Films, horror villains had these unnerving, sometimes unfortunate origins. Those origins were a package deal, ones that helped instill fear. But Jason over here sports a non-existent, nonsensical reason for being. Even with his unstoppable, unkillable nature, I've never found anything interesting going on in the Friday the 13th franchise, and even less to be afraid of. So I bitch, and I moan, and I argue how much of a dumpster fire this beloved franchise is. Then I wonder how a series can be so beloved, with an antagonist that has so many goddamn plot holes. After that, my mind drifts into making sense of it all. Sense in terms of an explanation for things. Like if he drowned as a boy, how the hell does he return? As a grown-ass man, no less. And how is he so strong? And how can he return from the grave time and time again? Well, here are a few examples of what I think a satisfying lore behind Jason Voorhees could look like. How much do we know about Crystal Lake? I mean, really, perhaps the waters were a prison of sorts, fashioned by some ancient shaman, for wayward spirits that would otherwise refuse to rest. When Jason drowned, it was bad enough. But when his mother died there, seeking what the spirits of the lake themselves thirst for, maybe it was all too much. Like a dam had burst. Their combined thirst for vengeance simmered and settled upon Jason with his mother's death, breaking the spell that kept them there, granting Jason the unholy ability to return from the grave to seek revenge for himself, for his mother, for the wayward spirits of Crystal Lake. Jason drowned before the initial film in the series, right? I could see a sequel declaring that Jason only ever existed in Pamela's mind. And when she died, her mad, tormented, demented soul mixed with something unholy in the lake, in the woods, in the ground. It gave birth to what we now believe to be her baby boy all grown up, like what Alan Moore did with DC Comics' Swamp Thing. Only far more sinister. There is no extreme a parent would not go to for their child. It seems incredibly possible to me that in the years between Jason's death and Camp Crystal Lake reopening, Pamela could have tried to make contact with her son in the beyond. Perhaps she did, and something went wrong, setting forth the chain of events that led to his unholy resurrection. Maybe the final piece of the ritual was that she traded her life for his. Whatever happens next in the franchise, I hope it comes with a thought-out, fully formed origin. Something befitting a horror movie icon. I'd be a big fan of that.
If you watch a Friday the 13th movie past part 1, you're stupid.